Why, Heidi ho, Heidi ho, Heidi ho. So, I'm making my eggs for breakfast. And I wanted to converse a little further on our seven gates. 2, 4, 6, 7. Everything we see, everything we hear, things that we listen to, things that we consume. So, we consume things through our seven gates, but we also send things out through our seven gates. And it's our job to reprove ourselves. So when we leave these bodies, nobody's going to be standing there with us. So we don't get to say, well, so and so said, so and so told me, so and so wrote this in a book, because it has to do with us reproving ourselves. So ultimately, we can gain knowledge and wisdom from Torah, which would be the 5 books of Moshe Rabbeinu. But Moshe is not responsible for our iniquities. We are responsible for our iniquities. And we're told that we're going to be tested. So even Moshe was tested. So killing out the ego of the beast and guarding our seven gates. Through me, you're going to be redeemed. Things like that. Well, God will say things to us to test us. And ultimately comes down to our heart, what we are going to believe, whether or not we've reproved ourselves. So I'm from this tribe, and through my tribe it says this and it says that. Well, yeah, it does. But who said it? And was it a test? Ultimately, that's the question. Was it a test? So killing out the ego of the beast. The only Mashiach that I recognize is my Abba, both mother and father, king and queen. Not a man of the flesh. So, being Moshe and climbing the mountain, we all have a tendency to lean towards and can be the spirit of every character in Torah and Tanakh. So we can be Haman, like I've said before, and allow power to go to our heads and expect other men to bow down to us because we have control, because some other man told us that we have control. So it all comes down to what we listen to, what we allow to go into our seven gates. But also what comes out of our seven gates are proclamations. So it says here, through us, you're going to be redeemed. That's the ego of the beast. That's claiming to have authority over creation itself, claiming to be the Redeemer. So we have to be careful when it comes to guarding our seven gates and all of our proclamations. So the plutocrats and the oligarchs, the Arab Rav, they know these things. They know that our proclamations carry a lot of weight. And that's why they have all these names that they've created for the land, because those are proclamations. So when you say some silly ass thing like, I was born in the United States, I was born in Russia, China, Germany, Japan, the Philippines, Brazil, I was born in any of the above. You're saying you were born in something that the man created, because man created the name for whatever place it is that you believe you were born in. It's all one big farm, like I've said before. One big farm. And these are the coats of many colors, what we are living in. So Job 10:11, you covered me with the flesh and skin and knit me together with the bone and the sinew. Well, who is me? Who am I? If I'm not the flesh, the skin, the bone, or the sinew, who and what am I? So it's killing out the ego of the beast. So again, like Haman, we can be Haman and expect others to bow down to us. Or we could be Mordecai and not bow down to other men. We can be Moshe and we can climb the mountain, which is removing the limiting beliefs of these temples that we live in and realizing that we're all the sons and daughters of our Ima Abba, both mother and father. Not viewing our brothers and sisters by the vessel that they live in, but by their content of character, like Martin Luther King said, the content of character. And I say the spirit of my brother or sister within the temple, which would be the resonance, the energy that they're sending out. So everything we do is resonance. Consciousness created to energy that is in between all the particles. And the funny thing is science is starting to prove everything about Torah and Tanakh to be true. Science is starting to see the consciousness that exists in all things. So we can talk about the plank theory, or how they say there's identical twins. Well, they're not identical. They're two different souls. So if you look at the Planck theory and you look at DNA and think on terms of the Planck theory and fractals, you can go into a fractal and the fractals are all the same. So it's the masculine, feminine gender, and then the child, which is the consciousness that is a part of the whole but exists within. And that consciousness could land anywhere on that fractal. So if you go around an infinitum and you land on a spot that could be 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, and then you go around again and you land in what you think is the same spot, but you're in a fractal. It could be 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, because you landed in the same spot, but because of the butterfly effect, something is different. So there's no such thing as like identical twins. But anyway, guarding our 7 gates is knowing there is a consciousness, the web that attaches all things that are in this physical world, material. The material is made up of consciousness. That's how our Ima Abba created. With consciousness, mind, what is mental, in between all things, quantum entanglement. And then when we start to realize those things, we have to guard our 7 gates and watch our proclamations, the things that come out of our mouth, what we proclaim to be the son of man or the son of our Ima Abba, the daughter of man or the daughter of our Ima Abba. And it's not to give no credit to our mom and dad who brought us into this existence with the help of our Ima Abba. But it's to realize that we're not a creation of man. And as long as we believe man is the one who's creating anything, we end up with oligarchs and plutocrats. We end up with slavery. We end up with wars. So removing the ego of the beast, living for base needs instead of base wants. We need food, clothing, shelter, and intimacy between the masculine and feminine gender, male and female, to keep this race going, the species. Human, which would be all the colors of our brothers and sisters, but to keep our race going. Anything above and beyond that is a gluttony, a perversion. So instead of a man and woman being intimate with one another, a whole bunch of people, that's perverse. Instead of having a meal, you want to consume. That's gluttony. So, power. We can lead others, but to want to rule over others is a perversion. God bless. Much love.